Yeah, I think the cat's she's not been done yet, so sometimes she just squeals because she wants a shag, but no one's going to do it, so.
Squeals? Wait, she should be squealing during a shag, not before.
Yeah, it's like a mating call thing. It just fucks us off. It keeps us up at night sometimes. It's like, just shut the fuck up, no one's going to shag you. Sorry about that. Anyway, hello everyone, welcome to the PHATcast. This time we've got me, my good friends Tom and Gavin, as it seems as always, and today we'll be talking about our favourite games that we've played this year in 2024. Yeah, big change for a few of us this year in terms of our gaming habits and how we interact with the games this year. I've barely got 5 on my list of what I want to talk about, but yeah, it's been overall been a very, I wanted to say a light year for the Switch, but it's not really been that light. We were just talking about it just before the cast, just before we started, and we were just saying that it's actually been a pretty stellar year again for the Switch. Definitely not as strong as 2023. I don't think many years can be, but yeah, we're going to dive all into it today and talk about our favourite games of this year. How are you guys feeling about this year in general? Have you enjoyed gaming this year?
Well, I was able to play, yes. I definitely enjoyed what I played this year.
That's good. There's no duds? Nothing you feel like you've wasted your time on?
I wouldn't say there were any true duds.
No.
Not out of what I've played, that is.
I'll say I've been quite picky with what I've played this year. So all the ones that I've played, I would say, were not in the running for Game of the Year, my Game of the Year, but definitely all very enjoyable. How have yours been, Tom?
Yeah, now what's being released, I think the ones I've chosen to play have been excellent.
Yeah, I mean, me and you especially, Tom, have had quite a busy year personally, haven't we? So we haven't had as much time to play as we probably normally would have.
Yeah, no, certainly.
So, but yeah, we're going to go through our games this year, but we're also going to go through the ones that did release, at least the first party ones, because those will be the ones that will be most interesting to talk about. Now, I haven't got them chronologically here. I've just got a list from Tom. So thanks, Tom. Thanks for posting that. Of course, the research is always extensively covered here.
In about 5 minutes. It was barely research.
Yeah. Just copy and pasted from like IGN or something. Was it IGN or was it Metacritic?
He even copied the Metacritic scores.
It was Twitter. Okay, who was it on Twitter? Who did you steal it from on Twitter?
Stealth.
I knew you were going to say Stealth. I knew you were going to say Stealth.
That's a cool guy.
No. I like his opinions. He likes Xenoblade, so he's good with me.
That's all that matters.
Thank you very much, Stealth. So we'll talk about the first party Nintendo, how Nintendo's year has been this year, which is interesting because we did do a podcast on this last year, but just on the Nintendo stuff. This year we're just going to talk about like games we played and what have you. But let's just go over the Nintendo stuff. So I think it's an alphabetical order here, nearly anyway. So let's start.
Are you talking about the list Tom posted? Because it's actually in order of release.
There we go. Then that's all right because that's what I was going to say. I want it to be chronological. So I can't even remember when half of these came out. I think Another Code Rig Collection is the first one on the list, and that came out at the start of the year, right?
Yes, it did.
Around like January or February. But I guess, like, did either of you two play the original DS version?
No, I didn't play any of them.
No, I didn't even know it was by Nintendo. What was that, Tom? Sorry.
Neither did I.
No. So I didn't play them either. I didn't even know it was by Nintendo. I thought it was just... I had heard of the game, but I didn't know. I just felt it was like a random like detective DS game. I think
this is actually both games in one collection remastered for the Switch because there was a second game on the Wii.
Which that was only Japan, right?
That was Japan and Europe. America never got it because the developer went bankrupt around that time. They also made Hotel Dusk, if you heard of that game as well, and its sequel, Last Window, sequel to Cape West. That was their last game because they basically filed for bankruptcy around the time they finished Last Window.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, this was kind of one of the games, a bit like Advance was last year, to be fair, but this was one of the games that made me think, oh, wow, they're so confident with anything on the Switch, they'll just, they can resurrect any series, really.
That's cool. And then people
no.
complain, that's not the game I want seen coming back. No.
Yeah.
Look, you should be thankful that they're even reviving these long dormant franchises like Advance Wars and Famicom Detective Club.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, me over here, I'm still waiting for my Fossil Fighters revival.
It's really
probably
fun.
not going to happen.
I was just watching. It was. I think it was Ant Dude and Scott Lawaz's conversation.
Yes, I saw that video.
Yeah,
Yes.
about like ranking every Nintendo series, and it was really funny because I thought of you, Gavin, when they talked about Fossil Fires, and they were saying like it's really weird because it just seems like this really generic series that Nintendo doesn't really do those. It just seems like it's by a third party developer on the DS, but I knew that obviously you thought very much about it, so I thought, oh, Gavin might be happy hearing that.
No, I'm
Was
cool
you?
with it. They never played it, so they just don't have an opinion. It's fine. Besides,
Okay.
remaking Fossil Fight is probably going to be way too hard because it really needs to be on a touchscreen. It really utilizes the DS to its full potential.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, they could I assume they could rework parts of the game, but it wouldn't be like a straight port or even a reimagining. It would have to be a complete remake.
Yeah, I think it would be a remake of the first game at the very least, which
Yeah.
I'm fine with. The first game I think has the best story out of the trilogy.
Are all three on the DS?
The first two are on the DS. The third one's on the 3DS.
You're right. Yeah.
But nobody likes the 3DS game. It's called Fossil Fighters Frontier. Nobody likes that game, even though I think it's just okay. It's not terrible, but wow, did they make some weird changes to the formula. It wasn't even made by the original developers, and it really shows.
I said
The art
that.
style is vastly different. The way you just play the game is different. Even just excavating fossils is very different. You just go straight to the dig site, dig up the fossils, and that's it. You don't take them to the cleaning center anymore. And apparently people really hate that.
Streamline the experience, or
it's just different.
Yeah.
It lost some of its charm. That's the issue. Also, you're just driving around in like a Jeep, which is not a bad idea, but you just got like cutscenes of Jeeps talking to each other, and it's kind of weird.
It's like Road Trip Adventure.
Oh, Jack.
Well, I think the fact that we're talking about Fossil Fighters instead of another code is pretty indicative of
I unfortunately never got to play the remake. I don't know. I probably should.
I wanted to get it, to be honest, but it was one of them where I was still playing games from last year, and I was like, you know what? I don't need this right now. Maybe another time. But I did hear it sold like really badly, which is a bit unfortunate.
It's just another one of those filler titles.
Yeah, and I think as well, the game looks incredible. It really does. And it was one of those where people seemed hyped for it, but then it did not translate into sales. I don't think, unfortunately.
We call that the silent minority.
Yeah, exactly. But the remakes didn't stop because we do have a few more on the list. The next one is the Mario vs. Donkey Kong remake. I did pick this one up actually because Mario vs. Donkey Kong is a series that I, at least, don't really like overall, because the first game I played was the DSiWare game. I think was it March of the Minis or something?
Minis March again?
Minis, it could be. There's I get confused with the names. But it was a mini one. And to be honest, I think if I played it now, as a bit of an older gentleman, I think I could probably appreciate it a bit more. But it was definitely not the kind of game that I wanted to play when I first played Mario vs. Donkey Kong. But this one, I heard, was actually more like a sequel to Donkey Kong 94 on the Game Boy, which I love.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, so I
Mario has a lot of the same moves and whatnot. It's just straight up a sequel of that. Same gameplay as well. Pick up the key, take it to the locked door. But now they implemented the mini Marios as well, like an escort mission in the second half of the game.
I think that the thing is as well is that with this remake, I think they've added new levels, right? But apparently it's not like an extra world or anything. It's like they've sort of been seamlessly added.
Are full blown. They are full blown extra worlds. The original GBA game had only 6 worlds, but this one bumps up to 8. You've got a theme park world and an ice world.
That's cool.
They're fine additions, I guess.
Yeah. I guess the thing for me is that this remake, it's one of those where I wanted to get it and I did, but I almost didn't like paying the price that I paid for it. I don't think this game should have been. What was it? Was it retailed at £50 or was it 40?
No, it was actually a discount game. It was sold slightly lower than normal. It was £40. It is a budget title.
Yeah, this is the thing though. But for £40, that's still quite a lot for the kind of game that it is. I think. I mean, this is the kind of game that will
It's
come out on the DS or the 3DS, and it'll be like a max £30.
I'm with you there. Yeah.
Did you end up picking it up, Tom?
No, I wasn't keen on the price, and I
Yeah.
didn't really enjoy the original. So
Ah, fair. Have you played the original on Game Boy Advance?
yeah, it was not my
Right.
kind of game.
Okay. I mean, I haven't, like I said, I haven't really played it yet. I mean, how much time have you put into it, Gavin? Did you end up beating it?
I did beat this. I picked it up. I beat it. I didn't 100% it. I kind of dropped off that, but I did see it through to the very end, like the true final boss.
Yeah.
It
Okay. So how was it like for someone who played the original as well?
Well, as a remake, I would say it does the job fine, but it makes a lot of weird changes that I'm a bit mixed on. The new content, like the new worlds, they're just kind of there. They don't really add anything. They don't detract anything. They're just kind of there. They don't do anything. They also added a time attack mode, which just feels like it was slapped together,
Yeah.
little thought put into it. It's just another like completion goal to go for because you get a medal if you complete the level in a specific time, and you do that for every level as well. And they also they made Mario's death animations worse. Which why did they do that? Mario's death animations were funny in the original, but now he just slides off the screen like a 2D platformer.
It
It's
looks a bit
it's not
stale.
charm.
Yeah, like not as
It looks
charming.
some
I
charm.
guess it could. Yeah, it kind of reminds you of like when the Mario and Luigi games when the remakes compared to the originals. Like maybe it's not so much Superstar Saga, but Bowser's Inside Story especially feels like it was quite neutered in the charm aspect compared to the original, like the original game sprites and what have you. And that's kind of like the
Yeah,
feeling
I
I get from
guess.
Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that's kind of on the point. Also, they did probably the worst thing they could have done. They got rid of Mario saying, "Come back here, you big monkey."
I
They
saw the
actually
controversy about
recycled
that.
all, they recycled all the voice clips from the original game, so it's still Charles Martinet doing the voice in this game. Just
Oh,
again, recycled
Wow.
from the original, and they got rid of that line specifically.
yeah.
Why?
Well, yeah, I think we all know why. It's probably because like these days it could be seen as like a racial connotation, but he is a monkey. Like Mario's not wrong.
What do you expect to call him then? A big animal?
Yeah,
Is that any
exactly.
better?
It's silly. It's one of
God,
those. I think
Whoa.
it's one of those things where
Tom,
like it's one of those
Tom.
things where Nintendo of Japan probably doesn't see any problem, but then Nintendo of America is like, oh, we can't have a social media frenzy about Mario calling Donkey Kong a monkey, who is in
Yeah.
fact a monkey. So they probably got rid of it.
I will say this though. I'm at least glad they brought back the original developer to do the remake. It was Nintendo Software Technology that did the original, and they actually returned to do the remake,
That's cool.
which is good.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think my big
nothing's
thing
really
is
compromised in terms of gameplay. So if you never played the original, this remake will do you just fine.
yeah. I think
Although you definitely
my
do
only
owe yourself to play the original, the Donkey Kong 94 on Game Boy. I was actually thinking back to that game in preparation for this Fatcast, and
oh yeah.
I'm completely surprised at how well the original Donkey Kong 94 on Game Boy is aged. It's still really good to play even to this day. It's
I think
definitely
it's
one
one
of
of
the
the
best
best
games on
Game
the
Boy
Game
games.
Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely got to be in my top 10. It's
When I
amazing how well it's held up.
when I first played it, I played it via I think I bought it on 3DS actually. I don't even know why I bought it to be honest. I can't. No, it wouldn't have been one of the Ambassador Program games, but I bought it just on a whim, and I ended up playing it, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually like insanely good. Like you were saying for a Game Boy game. So that's why I was excited for the Mario vs Donkey Kong remake because it is sort of a sequel to Donkey Kong 94. Um, I definitely want to play it. I definitely do. It's just gonna be something that I'll get to eventually. I think. Excuse me.
Too bad this style of game wasn't to last because after this one, it was all about the mini Marios and the lemon
Yeah,
style gameplay, and they milked the everlasting hell out of that. There's like
yeah.
6 games with nothing but that formula, and I just got
That
tired of it.
I guess that's like where I like didn't like it. I didn't like guiding the minis. I wanted to be the thing that you play as, and
It was fine for one game, but then they just kept making games based on this.
yeah,
It just got old and stale, and I was tired of it by the end of it.
yeah. And the only other
Yeah.
thing I think about the Mario vs Donkey Kong remake is this is gonna be a really odd one because obviously I haven't played the game, so it's weird for me to criticize it. But I love the original box art on the Game Boy Advance because it's it's actually like hand drawn or not hand drawn, but it's
Yeah, it's
2D.
stylized.
Yeah, it's that old style 2D Mario Mario charm to it, and
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
new one has like the CG sort of look, and it's like okay.
It's upgraded? Question mark.
Yeah, it reminds me of I don't know if you guys have seen it really, but the Dragon Quest box art is always done by Toriyama for the most part, but sometimes they have CG versions of it instead, and the CG ones never look as good as the Toriyama hand drawn 2D art.
Rest in peace, Toriyama. We're gonna miss you.
Absolutely, he was it was this year that he died, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Massive loss. Yeah. So I guess we'll move on to Princess Peach Showtime, which was the first original. Or was it the first original one, or was it Endless Ocean of this
No,
year?
it was Princess Peach Showtime.
Yeah. So Princess Peach Showtime came out. Very weird discourse around the game because people were like, why is it so easy? Is it because it's Peach? It's kind of like, look at the character that you're playing as. Who can you market this to? It's probably going to be like young girls or what have you. Some people got really mad that it didn't sell well and that it looked too babyish, and I'm just like, okay, this is a bit weird to be honest. But I didn't pick up the game. It wasn't for me, I don't think. And also, I think even leading up to the game's release, I think people were saying like it's insanely easy and kind of like a very young game, or a very young demographic targeted game. How did you guys feel about it? Did either of you guys pick it up?
I did, yeah.
Did you, Tom? I don't think you did, right?
I got Beth it for her birthday.
Did Beth like it?
Yeah, I think that's who it was targeted towards, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a cutesy, like no stress, easy game, isn't it? I suppose.
It's fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like it could be simple fun. I guess for me, it just wasn't like it wasn't something that I was interested in, especially when I've been trying to like hand back on how many games I get anyway. But yeah, I mean, Gavin, how did you find it? Did you finish the game?
Unfortunately, no, I didn't. I dropped off after the third world.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, did you was there
really
other things
sucked.
to play or?
No, it just didn't hold my attention, which absolutely sucks because the game is competently made. It's fine. It's made by Goodfeel, and they can do no wrong, basically.
Yeah.
I think the issue with the game is that it's just, one, it's too easy. There's no live counter in the game at all. If you die, you just restart the area.
Right.
Like that section of the level. Also, the game just kind of is the game's pace is like all over the damn place. Sometimes it wants to be like fast paced, other times it wants to be very slow and methodical. It just has very inconsistent pacing, and that's probably the big issue that I have with it.
I think it's cool that Peach did get her own game again. Like that's something that obviously it has been a long time since, was it Super Princess Peach?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time since that game, and like she probably should have got another one since then. But I don't think it's because it's it's like favoritism that she can't have her own game or anything. I think it's just the fact that Nintendo probably didn't find anything to have her own game, which is something we'll get onto in a bit with the new Zelda game. But yeah, I guess I wouldn't be adverse to another one coming out, but from what I saw, for the most part, it looked like this game was pretty mediocre across the board.
It got a 74 on Metacritic.
What was that, Tom?
It got a 74 on Metacritic.
It did indeed. I'm seeing the scores right here.
Oh, it died with Remio?
So I guess we can move on to the first. Was Endless Ocean after this?
I think
Endless
so.
Ocean. Yeah, Endless Ocean's next.
On the list, the Endless Ocean wasn't there, so we're sort of like going off kilter there. But yeah, I guess we'll talk about Endless Ocean next, just quickly. Have you guys ever played an Endless Ocean game?
I haven't, no. But the people that have played it and they talk about it, they say it's Game Grumps. They like it, don't they?
Yeah.
How many games are there in the series? Is it one on the N64 or on the GameCube?
N64? What?
What?
This series started out on the Wii, mate.
Did it? I thought there was one on GameCube.
Yeah.
Oh,
the first two games are on the Wii, and this third and recent game is on the Switch.
Okay, I know that he isn't on the N64, but for some reason I'm just thinking of Echo the Dolphin.
Echo the Dolphin is also not on Nintendo 64, Ben.
Was he on the GameCube?
Echo the Dolphin was on the Mega Drive.
No. There was like a 3D one.
Oh, that's on Dreamcast.
Oh my god, help me. Oh dear.
Ben, what's going on with your brain right now? You're losing your gamer brain.
I know,
the gamer brain's
going. Yeah, no, I hate it.
Is this like dementia? A type of dementia?
I'm getting on a bit now, so you're
Hey,
older than
you're the
me,
one.
so surely it'll hit you before me.
Oh no, I'm looking after my brain.
Your gamer brain.
I think. Look, unlike you, I'm not indulging in brain rot.
Okay, that's true. I do indulge in a lot of brain rot these days.
Skibbity toilet.
Oh no, don't get me started.
Never say those words to me ever again, Tom.
Okay. Well, let me heal some of my my brain rot then by talking about
You're gonna need
one of the
this.
greatest games ever made.
Oh, yeah.
Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. I'm skipping over Endless Ocean because I don't think any of us have played it, and I'm not fussed.
It didn't get very good reviews.
No,
A lot of people were saying it wasn't even that good.
no.
I don't even remember what the main complaints were.
Did I hear it didn't run too great?
Hold on, let me pull up Nintendo Life's review
I
on
will
the
say
game.
just quickly,
They gave
that
it
is
like a 5
something.
out of 10.
Well, this year has been. Sorry, it's not been the majority of games, but it's
Where's the
been like
review
a
at?
year of Nintendo releasing games where even their own games don't seem to run the best
Oh, here
on
we
their
go.
own system.
So in Nintendo Life's review for the game, the negatives they listed are hugely repetitive, very little fun or creativity in traversal. Online is okay, but premise is underutilized and mechanics too simplistic. Bland beyond belief. Story chapters locked
Bland.
behind crap objectives. So basically,
Oh
the
dear.
game is just like not fun to play.
Okay, I guess that's a bit of a shame because when it was announced, people were like, "Oh, Endless Ocean's back. That's pretty cool." Probably a bit like another code, and then it didn't sell.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah.
Wait,
So yeah, let's move on to Paper Mario because this is something we can all indulge in. It's something that we've all played
yeah.
this year. Yeah, I mean, let's just Tom, just before Gavin starts salivating and foams all over his microphone, just let us know your history with the Paper Mario series before the remake came out.
I've played all of them apart from the Wii U version.
That's Color Splash, right?
Yes.
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And obviously, I do enjoy the first 2 games in the series more than the ones that came after.
What's your opinion on Super Paper Mario, Tom?
I think Super Mario is good. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, good.
What did
Finally,
you think of
another
Sticker
Super
Star?
Paper Mario defender.
Can get in the fucking bin.
Yeah, my boy. Did you? Okay, so if you've played all of them apart from Color Splash, did you play Origami King as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay, what did you think of that?
I did. I appreciate what they were trying to do, but I did not like the battle style.
Right, yeah. I think that's the thing with me because I thought like, okay, the game like location wise and exploration wise looks really fun.
Yeah.
But the actual battle system, I was like, why do they keep messing with it? Like that's the instant turn off for me. So I skipped on Origami King, especially because my faith in Paper Mario was so low before that. But yeah, I mean, Gavin, like, tell us about your history of Paper Mario very, very quickly. What do you think? What did you think about? Where did you start the series, and like, what were you thinking about the series before the remake came out?
I got my start with Thousand Year Door. I skipped the N64 original altogether at the time. But Thousand Year Door, when I played it, it quickly became like one of my favorite games of all time. It just meant that much to me. And then Super Paper Mario came out. Yeah, it was weird, but it still had a lot of like the elements of classic Paper Mario. It had the characters, the story, and then Sticker Star happened, and I wanted to shoot myself.
Did you end up going back to play 64 though?
Yeah, I got it on Wii Virtual Console. It was like one of the first games I downloaded for Virtual Console on the Wii.
Yeah, that's how I played it as well.
So yeah, Sticker Star came around. It was an abomination of game design and just the bastardization of what made Paper Mario great. Color Splash came around, and it was a slight improvement, but it still missed the mark in a lot of ways. I skipped Origami King. I just couldn't be asked anymore. And then the Thousand Year Door remake came along, and I just I felt like I died and went to heaven. Look, you were at work. You couldn't watch Nintendo Direct when they showed it. I just text you saying "OMG ah," and then you replied saying "What? What ah?" And I just respond with "TT Riding Remake," and then you just went "Oh my god!"
Yeah, I mean, I remember being at work, and someone I work with is into the Nintendo Directs as well. So he was watching it, and oh no, he didn't watch it. He just listed some of the stuff that got announced, and I remember, was Mario RPG? No, Mario RPG wasn't revealed. There was another announcement that was really cool, and I was like, okay, that's cool, but like as he was telling me this, the direct was still going, so he didn't actually tell me about the Thousand Year Door remake because it was the last thing that was revealed. So when Gavin said I was like, "What's ah?" Like I've seen everything. Then he told me, and I was like, "Oh my Christ!" And it was more than a just a good remake of a great game announced. It was the fact that it was almost like Nintendo had finally relented and gone, "Yeah, you know what? We know what works. We know what you all want. Here's what you want." Instead of just trying this endless weirdness with the Paper Mario series.
That one scene from that one South Park episode of the guy saying "We're sorry" in multiple different scenes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the first thing that comes into mind when I think about the Thousand Year Door remake.
Well, let's talk about the Thousand Year Door remake itself then. I mean, Tom, did you finish the game? What? How did you? How was
Yeah,
your time with it?
I finished it, and I played when I played the GameCube version. I played it with my mate Dan. We played it together, maybe around 6, 7 years ago.
Okay.
So a lot of it was still fresh in my mind, and it was just really fun. It was a really fun experience.
Yeah. I mean, the game looks absolutely incredible.
No, certainly.
Yeah. I mean, what did you think about it, Gavin? Like, I know that I'll allow you to salivate.
I think it was outstanding
Mm.
as a game on its own and as a remake. It is one of those very rare remakes where I think it's straight up superior to the original.
Oh, it
It's
is.
right up there. It's right up there with the likes of Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver and Kirby Superstar Ultra as a superior remake and just the definitive way to play an already beloved game.
Mm-hmm.
They went above and beyond with the Thousand Year Door remake. It's outstanding just how much care and attention they put into it. It really does feel like the ultimate apology, but you know what? I'll take it. Because
Yeah.
all the improvements that they made, they actually gave it more character than the original, which is mind blowing to think about. They actually put a lot of emphasis on putting more character and personality into a game that already had so much personality.
But it's so
It's,
weird that they did that, considering that that's something they had consistently stripped away from the series since since Super Paper Mario.
well, they did it. They finally did it, and I couldn't be
Did it sell
happy.
well?
It sold over 1 million copies, yeah.
I think it sold
Nice.
about 2 mil, which is good.
By this
Yeah.
point, hopefully.
Yeah, especially at this point in the Switch's life. I mean, that's still pretty good. Um, it's a shame that I didn't sell as much as Origami King, but I mean, Origami King came out like what was it, 2020, right after
Yes.
Animal Crossing, when interest in the Switch had like skyrocketed. So
Yes.
you could probably attribute a lot of the sales to that.
Yeah.
Also, I gotta address the quality of life improvements in the remake because all the little like tweaks that they make to make the game better, it just makes the game. That's just one of the other things that make the game is better than the original. They finally added a shortcut to and from Creepy Steeple. That is the one thing I wanted more than anything else, and they did it. They did it. They did it.
That was actually the one thing that I thought they would add in because it was such a heavily criticised part of the game and had been for years.
Mm.
It's kind of weird that it's not that they didn't incorporate it in the way that I thought they would do, though. I thought they would. I actually thought they'd incorporate some sort of fast travel to the game because there is quite a bit of backtracking in other chapters as well. I mean,
It
I
gives
never
the
minded.
backtracking too.
I never minded the backtracking at all, and like Gavin just said, they did fix the backtracking like quite heavily, especially with because this is the first time that I 100%ed the game, so I didn't realize, especially with some of the errands, is how back and forth a lot of the objectives are. So having the new pipe room in the underground was an absolute blessing
Yes.
because it was so easy to just go between one pipe to another instead of. I mean, what did you have to do before? Did you have to literally go and go in, but find all the entrances in the underground and just go between them? Because that's insane.
they had a few shortcut pipes, but not many. Also, they weren't labeled, so you had to memorize what took you where. But they added this new quick travel room with all these pipes that go to all the different chapters in the game.
Yeah.
It's super convenient. It's not out of the way to reach this room. It's perfection, really.
You can pretty much go straight to it, like from the surface. In fact, you can go straight
Yeah, you
from the
can
surface.
from
Yeah,
Central Roadport. There's a new warp pipe that leads straight down to the quick travel room.
yeah,
I'm amazed
yeah.
they kept the news, by the way.
Well, something that they changed was they changed parts of the script. This was, of course, like
It's it's basically closer to the original Japanese script, from what I've
Yeah.
heard. Like with Vivian, for
Oh.
example.
Yeah, I mean that was a huge thing. With Vivian being like a trans character. It's always sort of been a bit weird with me though, because I feel like the Japanese do not see trans in the same way that the West does. I think
Actually, I watched a video from a guy called Moon Channel. He actually explained that in Japan, it's like okay to be trans.
Yeah, I
Because
guess
it basically means you're like conforming to, a different type of like social norm.
yeah, it's not. This is what I mean though. Like it's just seen a bit differently. I guess
It's more accepted, I guess. Well, I
it's
wouldn't say
weird
it's
because
not
it's more.
accepted in Western society. It absolutely is. Of course, you're going to get some people that are not very kind to those people.
Yeah.
And then you have the people that are like politicizing it. And I'm just like, can you stop? They're people, all right? Stop bringing up the fact that they're transgender. I don't care. They're people. Isn't that what's more important?
I think the thing is from what I've seen is a lot of like I guess gay people or gay characters in Japanese culture. They're usually the comic relief, and it's usually seen as like a funny thing.
Yeah, homosexuality is actually frowned upon in Japan, from what I've
Yeah,
heard.
but that's what I mean. Like it's I don't know. It's just I guess it's accepted, but it's not. It's kind of it's a bit of a weird thing. So
It's a
I don't know.
slight taboo subject in Japan.
Yeah, I don't know if like the change is like completely faithful to the Japanese script, because I reckon in Japan it's like maybe
closer.
phrased a little better. Yeah, exactly. The only thing I was bothered about really was I didn't like the fact that what are they called now? They're not called the Shadow Sirens anymore, right?
They're just called the Free Shadows.
That's a shit name.
Well,
That's
it's because of Vivian.
Yeah, no, but I know that, but I also find that kind of weird because it's like, well, she wants to be a woman. Why don't you call them the Shadow Sirens still?
Yeah.
Because Beldam is transphobic as shit.
I guess, but like they're all still women though. Like they're still the Shadow Sirens, aren't they? I just think it's a better name. I just think it's a bit weird that they got rid of it. It's weird how they like almost want to be like, we'll give a trans character like a trans story, but then that also take away what they're trying to be. It's a bit weird. It's a bit odd. I also thought the removal of Airhead into Lunkhead was a bit silly as well.
Stupid.
Yeah, I mean, these are things that don't affect the game really. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was interesting to talk about because when there are changes like this, for me, I just find them a bit pointless, to be honest. But I also find the outrage behind the changes pointless. So
yeah,
it's like
just a small thing. You're gonna have outrage either way. What do you expect?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's stupid that it's changed, but I also think it's stupid that the level of reaction is so much, if you get me.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, nobody wins those kind of arguments. They don't.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
I do have one thing I want to say about the Thousand Year Door remake, which I don't know if this is going to be like a hot take, but I didn't like the remastered soundtrack that much.
This is right. Thank you, because I was actually going to say like I didn't know if we'd praised the game enough, but Thousand Year Door is like one of the greatest RPGs ever made by Nintendo. I think I said, but it's one of like I think I said this to you, Gavin, but it's one of only like 3 or 4 games that I'd consider pretty much perfect. Even replaying this game, I even got even more into it because after playing Bug Fables, which challenges you a little more, I was even able to really delve into the battle system and the different badge combinations and what's good and what's bad. And I think I ended up beating Bone Tail by like chapter 5 or chapter 4 or something, which was not something I ever was even able to do in chapter 7 in the original game. But yeah, there is criticisms with the game, and my biggest criticism would be the remastered soundtrack, I think. But,
so,
I mean,
allow me to explain myself before people get mad at me. So, look, the original soundtrack, it's super iconic. You can instantly tie it to the Thousand Year Door because it's just so distinct and recognizable. But with the remake, I feel like a lot of the redone music, it's too sticker starified, if you get what I mean. It sounds too much like modern Paper Mario. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's more like a different take on the music. And there are some songs I actually do prefer, but the majority of it, I don't. I just think it's whatever. It's really cool that they have unique battle themes for every chapter in the game.
Yeah,
Like
that is cool.
you got that absolutely rocking jazz theme for chapter 6 when you're at the Riverside Station. That slaps. That absolutely slaps.
I think
And
with
yeah,
the
at the same time, I don't think I can really deduct any points off the remake because of the inferior soundtrack, because the original soundtrack is still available. You just buy a badge very early on in the game, and you got
and
the
it's a
original
cute little
music for the
GameCube.
rest of the game. So it's definitely not a point against the remake at all. It's just like a critique.
It's the same kind of thing with like Xenoblade Definitive Edition when that came out, and they said that there's going to be a rearranged soundtrack, but you have the option to switch to the original. If I didn't like the rearranged soundtrack, I wouldn't knock any points off the game for it because you can just switch back to the original. And yeah, it's kind of weird. Like I guess in the way of Xenoblade Definitive Edition, in Xenoblade Definitive Edition, pretty much 90% of the soundtrack I prefer as remastered in the rearranged format. But in Thousand Year Door, I would say 90% of the music I prefer in the original format. And I think, like Gavin said, just the sound font and the instruments that are used, they get rid of a lot of the synths that was in Thousand Year Door. I remember, like, I could not wait to hear Rourke Hawk's theme because I love that. I love that battle music. But in the original, in the new one, it's almost like the original melody gets drowned out by the overuse of electric guitars and like just I don't know. I think it's just a bit loud, and it doesn't really you don't let the song settle. It just goes a bit insane. And there's also actually two versions of each battle theme now. There's like I think there's one when you first start out, and then there's one when you take them down to half health or something. But yeah, I think overall I did prefer the original soundtrack. And like Gavin said, you can just turn on a badge to turn on the original soundtrack, which in my next playthrough of the game, I think I will be doing because this time I decided to give the new music a go. And credit where credit's due, there is a lot of new music in the game. I didn't realize how much, to be completely honest. But I guess how did you feel about it, Tom?
Doesn't is the Big Boo? Doesn't he have his own unique theme this time as well?
Boo, yeah.
The Atomic Boo.
Yeah, he does.
That's him.
That was the first time I'd even fought him. I didn't even know he was in the game.
I knew he was in the game. That was funny though because years and years ago, when I was still playing the GameCube version, I found the Atomic Boo by complete accident. I didn't know you could attack the boos when they swarmed around you. It was just an accident.
I don't even know how I found out about it. Maybe I did it by accident. I can't remember. Maybe Diddy Bounce told me. I'm not too sure. But I remember thinking that, hang on a minute, there's a boss that I haven't fought in this game before. I mean, just quickly, let's talk about the extra content that was added, because there was extra content added in the game in the form of, was it two or three super bosses?
Two super bosses. You've got Prince Mush and the Whacker when you revisit the 100 Trials.
Yeah. I mean, did you guys go against these bosses? What did you think of them?
I did beat Prince Mush. I haven't fought Wacky yet because it means going through the pit of 100 trials again, even though you can now skip straight to the 50th floor. It's daunting. It's just daunting.
What did you think about Prince Mush as I think it was like just contextually in terms of like the Glitz Pit storyline? I think it's ace that you can actually fight the original champion.
Yeah, same. He's definitely a very interesting super boss. He definitely puts up a decent challenge, but it's a fair challenge. You really need to get those super guards in to beat him.
Yeah.
There's just no other way to beat him. You have to super guard him. But once you do, if you master those super guards, he becomes a pushover, and it's just so satisfying to just wail on him. Just build up those charges, power bounce him, and you can one-shot him basically.
Let's just talk quickly about power bounce because there have been adjustments to the game in terms of balance, and they've actually nerfed power bounce quite a bit. They've made the timing on, I think it's the fourth jump, 1 frame timing, which is insane.
They made it frame perfect, although is that really a nerf? Because the game runs at 30 FPS. The original ran at 60. They actually knocked down the frame rate, which, by the way, is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that the frame rate is worse. The game is quite graphically intensive. Have you seen the game? It's freaking gorgeous. So I can understand why they couldn't get to run at 60. It is a very graphically intensive game.
I will admit, I was very disappointed that it was cut to 30. The game looks fantastic, and I don't think it really suffers too much in the gameplay department from it. Like you said, Gavin, like some of the timings are actually made easier by the fact that it is at 30. I don't know. I guess when I went from the original Paper Mario 64 to Thousand Year Door, the fact that everything was so smooth in Thousand Year Door, it made it really feel like the next game, like a sequel. I don't know. With how good the game looks, I guess I kind of get it, but I don't know. I would have rather it not look as good as it does, and run at 60 rather than run at 30, but look as good as it does. I think the fluidness of the game just it looks so good anyway on the GameCube. You know what I mean? Like I think they could have made it look a bit better, but kept it running at 60. I would have preferred that myself, but it's not really a huge knock against the game. It is the only reason why it's the only thing the original has over the remake, and that's one thing from the plethora of stuff that the remake has.
I'd agree with you there. I'd completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think did you say, Gavin, that it's probably your game of the year? Sorry.
It is my game of the year, which I'm not really too proud to say that, because giving my game of the year to a remake just feels like a cop out. But nothing just comes close to Thousand Year Door. I'm being perfectly honest here. Nothing comes even close. Echoes of Wisdom maybe is like the closest thing, but I have to give it to Thousand Year Door because of the small flaws that the original version had. It was like a 9.5 out of 10, but it was still absolutely phenomenal. But the remake, it bumps it up to a perfect 10 out of 10 now for me.
The thing is that even if it's a remake, if it's come out this year and it's still like really the same game that you've loved from all those years ago, it's still going to be like your game of the year. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be better than a lot of new games that come out this year. So I don't blame you at all for that. I think Xenoblade Definitive Edition was my game of the year in 2020, and that's a remake of Xenoblade 1, which is my favorite game of all time. So in nearly any year that game would come out, it's going to be my game of the year. So. But yeah, I guess me and Gavin talked pretty extensively about it, Tom. But what are your final thoughts on the Thousand Year Door remake?
It was almost my game of the year.
I see.
Honestly, it's the most impressive first party game I played
absolutely.
this year, to be honest.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I haven't been. I think this is the only first party Nintendo game I've managed to play this year. But even with that, I think I probably played the best one. But we can move on to Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, which is another Nintendo game that came out this year, another remake. Probably, it's in contrast to how good the Paper Mario one was. I'll let you guys take this away because I've not played the Luigi's Mansion game before, but I do know that 2 is like not the bad one, but not the one that's not as
the
good.
weakest link.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing to me that they added nothing to it like they did with Paper Mario.
Oh right, I see.
Criticism is that it doesn't really do anything to justify its existence. It's
graphically, it doesn't match 3 either.
Oh, Luigi's Mansion 3 is fun. Oh yes.
Yeah,
I still think Luigi's Mansion 3 is one of the absolute best looking games on the Switch. It is just it's art. It's a work of art.
What I don't really get is the fact that they can make Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, which is a remake, but they don't call it HD or anything like that. They just call it Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. And then they make Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, which is like, I mean, I know it's not a full-on remake, it's more of a port, I guess, but I don't know, there's been ports that look way better than this. It looked very low effort, even from the announcement trailer.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because, I mean, I haven't played the original game, but I'm assuming it deserves better than that.
Nothing against the developers of the remaster, though. They did what they were told to do, and they did it. It was the remake was actually done by Tantalus, who have already done the HD remasters for Nintendo already. They made Twilight Princess HD and Skyward Sword HD. So now they've done Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. They just did what they could, basically, with what they could with what little they had. I think
the biggest thing for me was the fact that it was what was it, £50? Was it £50 at launch?
Yeah, it's full price. It's full price, which is
ridiculous.
And they add nothing new to it, nothing significantly new to it.
But doesn't it retail at the same price as free then?
Yes.
That's crazy.
So here's the thing: Luigi's Mansion 2, the way it's structured is not very good. It's mission based this time. So you do have multiple like mansions and settlements that you explore throughout the game, and that is cool and all, but the mission structure just makes it feel very disjointed.
Yeah.
You do one mission, and then EGAD just radios you, tells you, okay, you're done for now. Come back to my lab. And then you go back to do the mission following that one, and it just drops you back where you ended the previous mission. It just feels very disjointed. I know why they did that. It was a handheld game, but when you remake it in HD, it just comes off as off. Odd that they kept it that way.
Yeah.
They should have restructured the game.
It's just a bit
So
weird.
that was like
that
more
has been a very
continuous.
vocal criticism of the game for quite a long time. Is like I guess when it's kind of hard to change the way a game is structured, but I suppose you can do things to alleviate it or make fill out the blanks in some way. But they didn't do anything to it, even though they heard the criticism for Thousand Year Door and did something to alleviate that. They didn't really do anything to alleviate Luigi's Mansion 2, which it's unfortunate. I think it's also I find it a bit of a weird pick to remaster. I thought they probably would have done the first game before the second one, but I know the first game did have a remaster on 3DS. Not even that well. It's quite a long time ago now, but I think it was at the very end of the 3DS's life, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it's just a filler title.
Yeah,
it deserved better, honestly. At least the multiplayer is intact. The multiplayer is legit good fun, even though I think the third game is way better.
Yeah,
you still have a good time with 2's multiplayer.
Was you going to say something, Tom? Sorry.
Well, when they remade the OG one, obviously they added multiplayer to it if you had 2 3DSs and 2 copies of the game. You'd have thought with the story mode that they've added it in 2 as well.
What? Sorry, so they added a multiplayer into 1, but they didn't add it into 2?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, in the remake of the first Luigi's Mansion game, you have 2-player co-op because the second player plays as Guigi.
Oh, sorry, I was
actually Luigi's first appearance. But the thing is, I haven't heard good things about Luigi's Mansion 3DS's multiplayer. Apparently, it's like super unstable and it lagged like crazy.
Oh, does it?
Which that blows my mind because who did the Luigi's Mansion 3DS remake? Grezzo, and they proved they can do good remakes. So. What the hell happened with this one?
It might be a bit like did Grezzo do Luigi's Mansion 2 HD as well?
No, I already said it was Tantalus that made Luigi's Mansion 2 HD.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, I guess in the same vein, it's at the end of the system's life, and Nintendo might have given them a pretty poor budget to get the game onto the system. So for both Luigi's Mansion 1 and 2. I think they've both been a bit diddled, to be honest, by both their remasters. Which is a big shame because Luigi's Mansion 1 on the GameCube and Luigi's Mansion 3 on the Switch, you could argue are 2 of the best games on their respective systems.
Yeah.
So. See that.
But let's move on to Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. I didn't pick this one up. I actually didn't. It did get a physical release, right?
It did, yeah. It even got a special edition, which I actually did get. This thing was scalped to hell and back, let me tell you. For months on end, I would visit eBay and I would see this thing all over the place at like double its retail price because it sold out very quickly. I am so glad I picked up mine because it's actually really cool. You get just a lot of cool stuff. You get like a replica NES cartridge with the sleeve. You get a pin set. You get some like cards.
Oh,
they're kind of like
cool.
postcards, I guess you could say, of all the games featured in the game. But other than that, I completely forgot this game even came out. I didn't touch it. It just didn't catch my interest.
It kind of gave me NES remix feelings.
It was made. There's a reason for that. It was made by the same developer, Indie Zero.
Right. Okay.
And Indie Zero actually have a pretty the Indie Zero have a lot of history with Nintendo. Actually, they've been with Nintendo for a long time. They made things like for the Satellaview. They made Sushi Striker. Remember that game?
Oh god, I only remember that game because Bill Trinan was like, before it got announced, he was like, "There's going to be something big coming, something that I really like," and because he was quite active in the Smash social media scene, people thought it was like something new for Smash or what have you, and it ended up being Sushi Striker, and I was like, "No." The funny thing is that I don't think Bill ever tweeted like anything like that again. So Nintendo must have had a word with him and gone, "What have you done?"
Bill,
Bill,
Bill, don't do that again.
Yeah, bless him. But I mean, yeah, it's. Oh yeah, I'm not going to talk about Sushi Striker. Screw that. But NES remix, NES remix was never like my cup of tea.
I really
NES
liked
games, just in general, aren't my favorite. So it's not so. If it was like a GameCube or even N64, I think
that's
I'd be
not
up
going
for
to
it then.
happen. No.
Well, that's
Not
never
gonna
going to happen.
Like, that's never going to happen. Anyway, let's talk about Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. So it's basically a speedrunner's dream come true, I guess? Question mark. Although it's already been done before, like with NES Remix. It's just that again.
Yeah,
No objectives to
Yeah.
complete, and you're timed on it, so they're just doing NES Remix again. Also, the
I guess
game selection is kind of iffy. You've got the original Super Mario Brothers trilogy, but then you've also got the Lost Levels. You've got Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Excitebike, Kirby's Adventure, Kid Icarus, Metroid, Balloon Fight, Ice Climber.
I mean, that's a pretty stellar lineup, to be fair. Like a
It
first
is,
party
but
Nintendo.
it's only 13 games, and there are way more games they could have pulled from.
Is it?
Seriously,
Is it
why
actually?
is it
So
always
is
the
it
same
just
ones?
remix challenges, or is it like? I'm assuming it's not the full games or anything like that.
It's remix challenges like an NES remix, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all about you got your online leaderboards and whatnot. But here's a funny thing. The game actually knows if you use glitches, like if you try to enter the minus world in Super Mario Bros. The game actually does that and says, you can't do that. You got to start the challenge over again. They actually went out of their way to implement an anti-cheat, anti-glitch exploit system into the game, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, it's hilarious, but it's also like they didn't, instead of fixing it, they were just like, we'll just tell them they can't do it.
Yeah, but the game is all about speed running. Why would they remove
Yeah.
that to even the playing field? I don't know. I'm very torn on the idea of doing that.
Nintendo are just weird with that because it's like they don't want they hate their games having like these flaws that can be exploited.
It's because they're guilty of the sin of pride.
Yeah, it's exactly
No, I
that.
will not take that back. It is true, and you can't deny it. They are guilty of the sin of pride.
Yeah.
The
It's
seven
almost
deadly
like if
sins of
you found a
gaming,
glitch in
where
Luigi's Mansion 2
everybody is guilty of
HD.
greed. Sorry.
If you found like a glitch in Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, it's almost like you go, well, there's a glitch there, so why is it worth £50? And Nintendo's like, you got me.
We'll actually get to that when we talk about Echoes of Wisdom.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's gonna be interesting to talk about. But I guess I'm guessing you didn't get Nintendo World Championships, Tom.
Yeah, I didn't bother with it.
No. I mean, to be honest, I thought it was like an eShop title, like a quirky little eShop title. But I do remember hearing that it did get a physical release, so a bit weird. But let's talk about one of the most interesting games this year, which I think many will probably say ended up being a bit disappointing in terms of the marketing aspect, and that's for MEO the Smiling Man, which is the newest entry in Famicom Detective Club, which were two visual novels that I would have gotten if they got physical releases, but they didn't in Europe, unfortunately.
Only in Japan, sadly.
Yeah, which
You
I
did get a
actually.
collector's edition though, which is neat.
Well, I actually did try looking for them when I was over in Japan this year, and I didn't find any. So I'm not too sure where that would have gone. But this was first revealed as like this really creepy, like just face, right? Like just the mask, not the mask, the bag.
Yeah,
with a face on it, and it wasn't marketed as like any sort of game. It was just it was really creepy and like something that was very un-Nintendo like. And then when it actually was revealed to be the next Famicom Detective Club game, I think a lot of people thought, "Oh, never mind." And it's like, yeah, but I've heard this game is fantastic, like a fantastic visual novel. And I don't think me and you played it, right, Tom?
I played the demo.
Did you like the demo?
Yeah, it was alright.
Yeah. Have you played many visual novels before?
I played Hotel Dusk, if that counts as one.
Okay, I mean, I wouldn't really know, to be fair. I think, is that more like a puzzle game?
Oh yeah, I guess it is. Ooh.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, this was your first visual novel, though, right, Gavin?
No, I've played visual novels before. I played. Do I want to admit this? I did play a visual novel called Katao Shoujo a few years back on a friend's recommendation. Yeah, it is a hentai game. Yes, I know, but it's very well written.
Was it fun?
Look, no, listen. Okay, look. You go to a high school and all the students have a disability, including you, because your player character has a heart condition, and it's all about like making friends with like the girls in the school because they all have like their own disability. Like one of them's blind, one of them has like extensive PTSD and burns on her face. Oh, Hanako, my beloved. Anyway, yeah, it's very well written, and you can turn off the sex scenes if you really want to.
Okay, well,
If
at least they
anything,
gave
the
you
sex scenes
accessibility
are a
options.
reward for getting a good
Or
ending. You only get the
inaccessibility
sex
options.
scenes on the good ending.
Oh, okay. So if you want 100% to get the good stuff, you've got incentive.
Yeah, but again, you can cut them out. You
Yeah.
can cut out the sex scenes if you really want to, because they are uncensored and they are very explicit.
Well, I would have thought so from the genre
Look,
that it's in.
Espio. It was Espio, right? He told me to play the game, and he wanted me to try to get up with Hanukkah because he thought I would relate to that route of the game, and he was right. Wow,
I love how
that was
you
a
just
roller
outed him.
coaster. He told me to play the game, so I did. It is freemiumware, and now it's available on Steam. So now there's no excuse for anyone to not play it. It is very well
Okay.
written. Very. It really gets you in the feels. But anyway, we're not talking
it
about
works
that.
then.
I was going to say, like, has the experience with the hentai game did it relate to MEO in any way?
I will say I am sick of the vocal minority that says visual novels are not true video games because they are.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they definitely are.
Anyway, as somebody that doesn't play much visual novels, this game I did not think I would get into it. And at first it was like, whatever, but I just kept going for it and it hooked me. It hooked me because it is a legitimately really good, very well written, very engaging murder mystery visual novel. It had me hooked because I really wanted to know what was going to happen next. It grabbed me, and I did see it through to the end. I finished MEO, and I'm so glad I did because holy hell, Nintendo finally hit puberty. This game has earned its age rating. I'm telling you that now. It might not look it at first, but it earns its age rating. The game starts with a teenage boy seemingly strangled to death with a rope, and you actually see like the marks on his neck. You actually see the dead body with the bag on his head, and you thought, oh, it can't get much darker than that. You're wrong. I wish I could go into detail about this game, but to do that, I would have to spoil it, and I don't want to spoil it. I have to be very careful with what I say next. You have to go in blind. If you're going to experience the game, go in blind because, oh my god, this game is fucking dark.
Yeah. It's definitely one that I want to try, even more so because it's the only one of the Famicom Detective Club games to get a physical release here.
It made me want to check out the remakes of the original games.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. The good news is this game isn't very long. It's only about 15 hours long. Even if you play the epilogue, which is the epilogue. Oh my god, the epilogue. The epilogue makes the entire game worth it, I think.
Oh really?
Especially when you see it, because he actually animated the whole thing. It's a full-blown OVA just for the epilogue.
Wow.
Like
okay.
The game is gorgeous. The whole game is gorgeous. It is like high quality, high budget anime stuff. It is very nice to look at. And that OVA at the very end of the game, yeah, that's just the cherry on top of this visual novel cake. Again, I wish I could explain more, but wow, this game is so dark, so mature. I can't believe Nintendo made this. This is a Nintendo first party game, and it goes hard on the subject matter. They hold nothing back. It is dark, it is morbid, and wow, just wow, is it quite the experience.
Okay, I've definitely put this on my want list then. I did want to get it when it first came out, but it was one of those where it's like I knew I wouldn't get around to it for a while, so I sort of put it off. I'm glad I did because if it went the other way and it wasn't too great, I'd be like, okay, well, I haven't missed out. But if it's, I've heard it's very good, and with Gavin's glowing recommendation, actually one thing I want to ask about because the visual novels that I've played have always had stellar music. How's the music in the game, Gavin?
It's thematically appropriate. Like it fits
Nothing
the
too
mood.
I guess.
It fits the scene.
Yeah, it's.
Like
I guess
you
is
get
it
you
something
get
you
your
wouldn't really listen to outside the game?
you actually do unlock an in-game sound test after you beat the game.
Oh, okay, cool. I just know that like Ace Attorney, for example, and Danganronpa, the two visual novels that I've mainly played, they have amazing music that I would listen to outside of the game. I just wondered if MEO was the same way.
Also, you saying, "Oh, Emio's face is scary," that made me laugh because you have no idea.
Ooh.
Because you get to see what he really looks like under the paper bag, and I'm not saying anymore.
Does it look like that Krusty Krabby Patty from SpongeBob?
No, I'm not saying anymore, but you're gonna have nightmares.
Okay, all right. We'll say no more about that then, but we'll just say that it was a fantastic game.
I can probably tell Tom since he clearly doesn't care.
Do you care, Tom?
No, but what about the audience, Gavin?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to know
I could just
either.
send you a Discord DM if you really, really wanted me to.
Yeah,
Later
I'd rather
on,
not
you
know.
can do that.
Yeah, I'd like
We'll
to play
wait until
it,
after
so.
this is done.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, the first 2D top-down Zelda game since Link Between Worlds.
Right,
I know the Link.
Heroes.
Yeah, actually, you're right. I suppose so. I guess like single-player wise. Just 2 seconds.
Because from all the rumors and like the leaked images that I've seen, I think the Switch 2 is going to be a very interesting thing.
Yeah,
it really does
stay with the game.
It really does look and feel. It really does look and sound like it's going to be basically a grown-up version of the Switch.
Yeah.
In the best way possible, of course, because a lot of the demographic for the current Switch, they're children, and a lot of children they picked it up like early on in the Switch lifespan, so they're basically growing up with the Switch brand, aren't they? So the Switch 2 is basically like a more grown-up version of the original Switch. It's going to be more powerful. It's just going to be more grown up, more mature, more sophisticated, I guess.
I mean, they're saying PS4/PS4 Pro graphics, and that's insane on a handheld device.
It is. And that is probably the one thing I'm looking forward to, is Nintendo actually caring about powerful hardware again, like the good old days.
Yes, definitely.
Because let's be real, the Switch has been underpowered ever since launch day. And that was probably the worst thing about the Switch, is that it is running on outdated hardware, even from day one.
So I haven't played Echoes of Wisdom.
I think you'll like it.
I'm very interested in playing it. The announcement that Zelda was going to be the playable character. This is what I was going to say earlier about Princess Peach, but Nintendo actually came out and said, well, the reason why we made Zelda the playable character is because of the mechanics of the game, and we didn't want Zelda to just use a sword. We thought, we didn't want Link to use a sword. We wanted him to use like a wand and create these objects and magic and stuff. And he said that'd be more suitable for Zelda, so that's why we put Zelda in the game, and that's why she's the lead character. But this, unlike Princess Peach Showtime, this actually looks like a proper Zelda game, just with you playing as Zelda. It's still, and it looks like very puzzle based. A lot of the stuff that I didn't like about Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, I hope isn't in here. Like, I hope it's a bit more linear and a bit more structured. But I am a bit scared of also it being a bit more free with the amount of stuff that you can create. And it looks like you're not really getting different items to get through different areas. It's more about saving these echoes and using them to progress through the game. But I wouldn't
worry about that. I wouldn't worry about that if I were you. The only real limitation is not the echoes that you have, but like your imagination, because there's multiple solutions for pretty much every puzzle in the game. It's all about how you approach it. The game is like it's very creative in its dungeon design, in its design approach. It's all about what you do, what you decide to do. There's multiple solutions to everything. So you're just going to get that eureka moment because you follow that solution.
I am looking forward to that because that's something that I really did miss in the obviously the couple previous 3D Zelda games. Did you pick up Echoes of Wisdom, Tom?
I've got it, but I haven't started it yet.
Okay, yeah. It's one of the many ones to go in the backlog, isn't it? So
yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it. Did you say that this was probably your if it wasn't for Paper Mario, this would be your game of the year, Gavin?
Oh, honestly, the game was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be good because I did have some interesting things to say about the game. So I will say this about the game: it definitely didn't grab me at first because it's just so so out there with its mechanics. Yeah, sure, it plays a lot like a traditional Zelda game in which you go to this place, you explore a dungeon, you beat the boss, you get the heart container, rinse and repeat. But the way you approach it is so extraordinarily different. You play Zelda for one thing, and she doesn't fight. She doesn't do the fighting on her own. No, she instead makes echoes of enemies to do the fighting for her.
Right. Okay.
I will say the game has
the
game does have a similar problem to Breath of the Wild, where I think the game starts off a bit too hard, and then it just gets easier as you go along. You start off very weak. You can take a lot of damage, just like in Breath of the Wild.
Right. Okay.
But as you advance through the game and you get stronger, and the echoes you get become more powerful, the game does become kind of a cakewalk, unfortunately. Also, the game, with it being a first-party Switch game, it has crafting mechanics in it. You make smoothies in this game, and it's like cooking in Breath of the Wild, basically. It gives you like different effects. It can restore your health.
I guess this is the thing that I was worried about, is that like I didn't want this game to feel like the 3D Zelda games, but in 2D. I don't think it will feel like that, but that is something that I've been a bit scared about.
There is definitely a lot of Breath of the Wild influence in Echoes of Wisdom, right down to the freaking menu. The menu looks like it was ripped out of Breath of the Wild. And
to be fair, the Link's Awakening menu looks a bit like that. Like very, very simplistic.
So anyway, the game's approach to a game design is interesting because you have the echoes, and you can use them however you want, but you are limited to them because you use the triwad to make them, and you can only make so many at once because each echo uses up a certain amount of points, and you're limited on how many points you can have. And you gain more of these points as you progress through the game, which means you can make more echoes.
Okay.
But the same, yeah. Also, you find Link's sword in the first dungeon because you fight an evil doppelganger of Link, and he leaves the sword behind, and you get that sword, and then you can go into sword fighter mode. And you'd think, why would I want to use the echoes when I can just transform into Link and just use Link's equipment, his sword, his shield. You even gain his arrows and bombs later on down the line. But here's the thing: they actually de-incentivize you from using the sword fighter form too much because you have a meter, and filling that meter is actually not easy.
Oh, okay.
When that meter runs out, you can't use sword fighter form anymore, and it's not easy to refill. If you're in a boss fight, then you can go nuts because you get refills in the boss arena. But you are actually actively decentralized you're discouraged basically from using it too often because it is broken. It is broken, but it's on purpose. It's purposely broken.
Yeah,
but
exactly. That's why they're trying to limit it.
Yeah, but they actually approach it in a very smart way.
Okay.
Like you would only mainly go into sword fight mode when it makes sense, like in a boss fight, for example.
Yeah.
And the game actually encourages you to go into sword fighter form in a boss fight because you can refill your meter easily in a boss fight.
Does the game have traditional dungeons?
It does, yeah.
Okay, are they okay? Don't say no more because I don't really want it to be spoiled, but that's good to know. I'm looking forward to it. And like, how long is the game? Because I know Link's Awakening is about 15 hours, but 2D Zeldas are around 15 to 20 hours usually.
It's about 20 to 30 hours. There's lots of side quests, so it depends on how many side quests you decide to do along the way.
Okay.
It's a decently meaty game, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. Like
I guess that's what I was worrying about. Yeah.
Also, the game has a good degree of non-linearity to it. When the map fully opens up, you can pretty much explore almost the entire thing if you want to.
Okay, I guess I mean, I guess that's more Breath of the Wild influence as well. But I mean, A Link Between Worlds was kind of like that as well. So, and I love that game to pieces. So
you still have to do the first dungeon no matter what. But after that, the world opens up. You can do the second or third dungeon, and then you do that, and then the fourth dungeon is like your next objective, and then after the fourth dungeon, you've got access to dungeons 5, 6, and 7. You can do those in any order you want. And when you complete all those dungeons, then you can go to the final area of the game.
Ooh, okay. All right, okay, that sounds good. I mean, I'm definitely excited to play. I think it's gonna be like the next one that I really jump onto.
I'm at least glad that traditional Zelda games are not dead, because as much as I will defend Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I don't think open world Zelda is the future of the series.
Yeah,
it's going to overstay its welcome.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. I know me and Tom especially are not really into that kind of vision for Zelda. So
you should also see the speedruns for Echoes of Wisdom because they're crazy. The game has rung warping. You can beat the game. The current world record, any percent speedrun, is 34 minutes. They found wrong warping in the game. You could just straight up go to the final area of the game within a matter of minutes if you really wanted to. They also found glitches that let you play as Link, like out of the sign area. And guess what? Nintendo patched that stuff.
Oh man.
They really, really want you to play by their rules, and that's why that's why I alluded to it earlier on.
Yeah.
They actually patched out a lot of these like massive glitches, because how dare you play the game in a way we didn't intend? Sin of pride.
The thing is, though, is that it's kind of funny because it's like you think, oh well, maybe if this was discovered years later, they wouldn't bother patching it. No, they would. They would, because the games are like everlasting, I suppose. But let's move on from Legend of Zelda, because onto a game that I think all three of us have played. I don't know if Gavin has, but we're going to play it tonight actually. But it's Super Mario Party Jamboree, the newest Mario Party in the series. We loved Superstars. We've played quite a bit of it, haven't we? All three of us.
Mm-hmm.
So this one was actually quite a. I'm going to be honest. When I first saw the trailer, I was worried about it because it looked like it was trying to do a bit too much. There was a lot of different modes. It gave me a bit of like Wii Party, Mario Party 10 vibes, where there's a lot of modes.
It's not that bad.
I think there's sometimes a lot of modes, but they're just none of them are hitters. I mean, you spoke already a bit about Jamboree, Tom, but what are your thoughts on it, from your perspective?
Yeah, the obviously the main party mode is the best of what's on offer. Good amount of characters, good amount of boards, excellent boards, in fact. Some nice returning boards. The fact it has online as well is very nice. Never thought we'd see the day, but here we are.
Yeah, because I mean, the Superstars launched with online, right?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Super Mario Party got added later, but Superstars launched with it. But obviously, Jamboree carries on the tradition, and it's the first brand new Mario Party to really have that, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is.
Yeah. Sorry, Tom. Carry on.
And it's all fleshed out quite nicely. As a single player mode, which I enjoyed, to be fair.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of the buddy system, to be honest. I think the buddy mini games are far too long, and I'm not a fan of it, to be honest.
Right. I think because I've played about 10 hours of it. I haven't found the buddy system to be that overbearing. I guess some of the board design kind of makes the Jamboree buddy system a bit too strong sometimes. I think the fact that really you can get to a boo very easily is a bit of a problem, because not only can you do buy 2 stars at once with a Jamboree buddy, or buy 2 items at a shop, you can also use the boo twice as well. So not only can you steal coins twice, you can steal 2 stars, but you could, on one turn you could steal coins, and then on the next turn steal a star. So it's. Let me just have a quick look, guys, because the cat's wailing at something. God, I'm so sorry.
I heard something. Well, he'll be gone again for another 2 minutes.
Let's talk about
the penis. No. We just sat here in silence. Well, finally, something that will get cut out from the video.
42 minutes ago we started this.
Wait, only 42 minutes?
According to Craig.
No, it's been over an hour. What are you on?
Oh. Don't know why Craig's saying that then.
Look, Craig's wrong.
Craig is wrong.
Wrong, sir.
Down on voice chat.
Wrong. Yeah, they are. They're playing Smash, and I'm not there because we're doing this podcast.
Oh, mate. Bless you.
And after that, they're going to be playing some Mario 64 Co-op Deluxe, which I really don't want to miss out on, actually, because we're playing some cool ROM hacks.
Well, that's okay, mate. What time are they playing?
6:30. So I would like to wrap this up. Well, we're near the end, aren't we? We're near the end.
Right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah, Mario Party Jamboree. Yeah, the buddy system. I think the board design can lend to it being a bit overpowered, but I haven't found it to be that bad yet. In terms of the mini games being too long, yeah, I can sort of agree with that. I think in like Superstars, for example, when you go to pick 15 turns or what have you, it says like, oh, this will take about 90 minutes or what have you. It still has that, but you have to sort of think it's going to take a bit longer than that now, whereas before it'll probably take around that time or a bit shorter, because some of the mini games can be so long. Not even just the showdown mini games, but also just some of the normal ones can be a bit long too.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
But I'd like the actual mini games. I just think we played the Yoshi one the other day, like the mountain race.
Yeah, that's fun. That's really fun. That
I think that's probably one of the best ones that I've liked. But I also was like, no, it wasn't the Yoshi one. Sorry, it was the Daisy one. That one's fun as well. Where you collect the coins.
Yes.
But it. I remember at one point because it goes on for like 4 rounds, and I was just like,
yeah,
this has gone on for quite a while now. And the thing is, as well, is it was right at the end of the game, so it was almost like whoever got the buddy they weren't going to be able to do anything with it.
Yeah.
So, I also think that I think a feature's been removed from Superstars in that I don't think you can no longer add turns toward the end of a game, right?
Oh,
I don't know.
Like before, if we got to the last 5 turns or something, you could add more turns on if you want to keep the game going. But I don't think you can do that anymore.
Right.
So,
well, yeah, it's abuse of power waiting to happen when you're playing with randoms, isn't it?
Well, that's true, yeah. But I mean, look, the game overall. I've really played the Mario Party mode, but the game overall I think is still great. Like I think the new boards are really cool. I can't tell what's a new mini game because I haven't really played too much of 9 and 10, so I don't know if there are brand new mini games or if it's
the majority are new, I believe.
Okay, so it's like a mix
there's only
of
like a handful of classic ones.
Yeah, there's definitely some classics in there which are really cool.
Domination, baby.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah. I've said to my girlfriend who I've been playing it with, she's been struggling with the mashing game, and I went, look, I'm going to win it, but if you play with Gavin, he's always going to win. He's like an insanely smashing games.
Don't give me. No, you're giving me too much credit here. You're giving me too much credit here. Come on.
No, I have to hope that you waste your energy on the practice just for me to be able to have a chance at winning it.
Oh, you're cheating the system, boy. You're cheating the system. I don't know if you understand.
Have you played any of Jamboree yet, Gavin, or is tonight going to be the first
I
time
haven't. I have the game. I just haven't had a good opportunity to play it.
Fair enough.
I've been waiting for that chance, really.
I will say the single player isn't like previous Mario Party single players, where like I think I remember playing the single player for Mario Party 5, and you had to essentially play through the boards against like 3 mini Bowsers. It's not really like that now. Like you don't really play a Mario Party game. You sort of go through a board and do kind of side quests, don't you, Tom?
Yeah, it's like Mario Party Advance almost.
Yeah, it is a bit like that. It's not. I will say it's not bad. It's just a bit like it's a bit odd that it doesn't revolve around the main Mario Party mode. Like you do mini games and stuff, and you go around the board and collect like objects to try and the story is that you're setting up a party, so you're trying to help everyone out, with their chores and what have you. And it's fine.
I still hate Mario Party Advance. Why are people suddenly coming out in the world saying they liked it?
Who did?
No, I saw a video a few months back of a guy defending Mario Party Advance, and his logic was, if it's just not called Mario Party, then it's a good game. He even released a ROM hack for the game that just changes the name. And he thinks it makes it a good game. No, it doesn't. Mario Party Advance is still awful.
Right, okay. I mean, I actually haven't played Advance, so...
I don't know if you heard that. I had something in my throat from that rant.
Oh.
Anyway, it's really interesting to hear
put
that
your volume up just to like overpower the
Super
rest
Mario
of us.
Party Jamboree is actually getting like very good positive reception. I never expected that.
Yeah,
People are actually saying it's better than Superstars. It's
I
probably
don't know.
the best Mario Party game of the post Hudson Stuff era. That's really bold.
I still have the criticism that there's too many spaces that do something. My main criticism with Superstars was that it had too many lucky spaces or spaces that just weren't a blue or red space. Because not only does it like make the economy go insane because you can get you get a lot of coins from lucky spaces really quickly. You also get more coins from the mini games in Superstars and Jamboree. In terms of like the first player will get 10, but then second and third will also get some as well. In Jamboree specifically, there are items where they're gold dice, where when you jump, when you get like a 5 or what have you, not only will you move 5 spaces, but you also get 5 coins for it. So there's a lot of ways to get coins in Jamboree and Superstars, and I don't know. I guess I still think the economy is still a bit bought because of the amount of lucky spaces. They have tackled it a little bit, where if you're in first place, you won't get as many good options on the lucky spaces. But I don't know. I still would prefer them to dial it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially because with when there's not as many blue spaces, there's more chances of you getting a hidden block on a blue space. Like the amount of stars and coins I've got from hidden blocks in Superstars and Jamboree compared to 4 to 7 is insane.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it'd be cool. It'd be cool to play it together and see what it's all about. So we'll jump. This is the last Nintendo released game this year, and that was for Mario and Luigi Brothership. Obviously, we all didn't know if this series would come back because Alpha Dream had gone under.
Even Nintendo didn't know that they would.
Yeah. And it's kind of insane, really, because Nintendo's really got hard with the Mario RPGs the past couple of years, when there really wasn't one for a long time.
Yeah.
So, have you guys picked up Brothership?
Yeah, and I have been playing through it. Unfortunately, at a very slow pace, but it's definitely doing it for me.
Yeah, is it?
I will say this though: the game's first few hours are an absolute slog. Nothing happens, and it almost put me off the game entirely. But believe me when I say this: at around the 3-hour mark, the game does start to pick up. It does get better from there.
I did hear that it was a bit Dream Teamy in the way where it does hold your hand a lot.
Yeah, well, it basically does what like the 3DS remakes do, where you just get a pop-up, a tutorial pop-up, and you can just go for it quickly and then go straight back to the game.
Okay.
I will say this though, it absolutely shows that it was not made by Alpha Dream. That's not a bad thing, but it definitely has different vibes. They definitely did a good job translating those cartoony, expressive 2D sprites into 3D. The game looks very appealing. It does. It does not feel like an Alpha Dream game. It was made by what are they called? Aspect, the Octopath Traveler developers. They worked on the game.
Oh yes, I remember. Yeah, I heard about that.
Not only that, but no Yoko Shimomura music. They got someone completely different this time.
Oh no, that's such a shame. She's been a staple since Superstar Saga,
but even
right?
the music, you can tell is not standard to my language. It is a very different feeling.
Ooh.
It's still good, mind you, what I have heard so far.
Yeah.
But just know that the game is gonna give you different vibes. It definitely feels like a Mario and Luigi game, but the vibe will definitely feel quite different.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't say that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I found Paper Jam to be, it was a good game, but it was very bland. So, Brothership already looked to be a bit more colourful in that aspect. So, did you say you picked up the game, Tom? Sorry.
I've got it, but I haven't started it.
Okay,
again.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I guess sorry, carry on.
I saw a lot of buzz on Twitter, pretty much saying how, like Gavin said, it has a slow start. It put people off the game, and the highs of the game are very spoilery to talk about.
Okay.
So you can't really say this is good because otherwise you'll spoil the game.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, as long as the battle system is still as good. I mean, I know that a big criticism is the fact that with Luigi now you have to pick A instead of B.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which
It
I mean,
messes
that's a
with your
bit weird.
muscle memory, though. I can see why people complained about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just so it's such a big part of the battle system of the series because, especially in Partners in Time, where you had 4 different characters that you were controlling, each character was mapped to a different button, and it worked amazingly. So it's a bit odd that they changed that.
I will say this as well. The game does feel like a more back to basics kind of Mario and Luigi game because ever since Partners in Time, there's always been like a gimmick in the game.
Yeah,
In Partners in Time, you had the babies. In Bowser's in the Story, you had like the parallel world in a way where you had the Mario Brothers inside Bowser, and Bowser was exploring the overworld. In Dream Team, it was all about the Dream World and all
yeah.
the crazy stuff that you did with Luigi. Paper Jam had the Paper Mario crossover. This game's a bit more back to basics. It doesn't really do anything overly gimmicky. The only thing I can think of is the whole Luigi logic system.
Is it a bit like the Dreams?
No, what happens is Luigi gets an idea. Like Luigi's like the brains to Mario's brawn in Brothership, essentially.
Okay.
And Luigi comes up with like all the ideas to overcome obstacles. Like
Yeah.
it's his idea basically how to approach obstacles in the game. And so you use Luigi to basically solve puzzles. Like you cooperate. Like you can like pick things up and you can pass them from brother to brother. That kind of thing.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's actually good.
You even have Luigi logic in battles as well, in boss fights, and it's really creative. Like you actually you use Luigi logic in a boss fight to try to basically uncover the boss's weakness if you pull it off successfully.
Yeah.
Like they actually turned it into a battle mechanic too.
I do like that when I guess not like a gimmick, but that sort of mechanic that applies to the overworld or even to the story is applied to the battle system. It's one of my favorite things about the battle system in Xenoblade. With you being able to see the future and trying to change it. Like that's not only a story element; it's something that is actually incorporated into the gameplay as well. Yeah, no, I'm most certainly excited to try it. I guess like I haven't played these 2 games, like Wisdom and Brothership, but I have heard a lot of talk about their performance and how it's not fantastic.
I don't know. Brothership seems to run okay.
I guess with in terms of Brothership as well, I've heard that the load times between battles can be a bit jarring.
Yes. I can confirm that. There's a load time when starting a fight. There's a load time when ending a fight, and it does add up. It makes level grinding a bit longer than it should be.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I'm playing the Dragon Quest III remake at the moment, and that does have load times when you come out of a battle, but going into one is pretty quick, so it's not too bad. But okay, well that was all of the Nintendo games released this year. Let's just talk about some of the games that we played this year that we really enjoyed. I guess we'll start off with you, Tom. But I think I know what you're going to talk about because I think what your game of the year is also my game of the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, just leads into it, mate.
Yeah. Sonic Generations, Sonic X Shadow Generations to be more precise. Obviously, when it initially came out, I had a Wii, so I missed out on Sea Escape, which was very upsetting.
Yeah. Did you get the 3DS version?
Yeah, I did, and it was okay.
Sonic Generations is so bad.
It was all right. Like I agree with you, Tom. It was cool how we got like Radical Highway and the Bio Lizard.
I just think Radical Highway is so cool.
But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like I was the same. I got Generations on the 3DS because it was the only thing I had to get it. Otherwise, I would have most certainly got it on the console.
Yeah, certainly. But yeah, I thought the OG Generations is pretty fun. There's a few issues here and there with glitches that have happened to me. But the Shadow part, absolutely phenomenal.
Is it the best 3D Sonic experience you've had ever, or?
Sing Sonic Adventure 2, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I think my biggest, criticism of Generations is how stiff Sonic feels.
Yes.
And when you go to Shadow Generations afterwards and how smooth Shadow controls, you're like, oh my god, why couldn't they have just done this from the beginning?
Basically remaking the game at that point.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, don't get me wrong, like Sonic Generations is fantastic. Like, I'm glad I've played the console version now. I just everything to do with Sonic in the 2000s is insanely nostalgic to me because of how much I love Sonic Adventure 2. So I loved, from I would say I loved Green Hill, the original stuff, but like from Sonic, what is it? Speed Highway to Seaside Hill was like amazing, and it was really cool that Shadow got some. He starts off with Space Colony Arc, which is probably one of my favorite Sonic levels ever now. Especially with the music is absolutely incredible, and the transition into Radical Highway in that level specifically is like, oh my god, they upped the budget for Shadow Generations, definitely.
Yeah.
But there's also like other missions to do, and there's a lot of artwork to collect. It's like the actual hub world for Shadow. It feels like the hub worlds of yesteryear. Really, there's like a big area for you to run around and do all these cool little challenges in, and then there's also like these keys that you can collect to get for these chests that like allows a lot more levels and get more artwork and music and stuff. I guess the only big criticism I have of Shadow Generations is the fact that it's a bit weird how there wasn't a level from Shadow the Hedgehog in it.
Well, Shadow, don't you?
Yeah, the Westopolis or something like that. But they've got it from Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes. I think they had one from Sonic 06, and then I think they did. What was the last one? Was it from Sonic? It was weird because I don't think Shadow's in Sonic Frontiers, but what was it, Tom?
It was Forces and Frontiers.
I forgot they had Forces level in there, which is really funny because I saw a load of people saying like, "Oh my god, they made a Forces level good." So, but yeah, it's definitely it's probably my game of the year as well. I've really wanted to go back to it and just like collect everything. I have burnt myself out on it a little bit because I've done all the Sonic stuff. Because in Sonic Generations they added free chow for you to collect, which I was like, that's such a tease because it's like all the stuff you could. It's like all the kind of chows you could get in the Chow Garden from Sonic Adventure 2. But there's like no garden for them, is there? Like there's like pumpkins on their heads, there's bags, there's Dark Chow, there's Hero Chow. I was just like, oh my god, just give us what we want. So, but yeah, that was probably my game of the year. It was Tom's game of the year. Obviously, Paper Mario was Gavin's game of the year. But is there any other games that you wanted to talk about, Gavin?
See how I felt about Sonic X Shadow Generations, did you? I've only played it briefly. I've only played the first few levels, but I do like what I've seen so far. Yeah. I had reservations about the game when it was first announced because of how Sonic Colors Ultimate turned out. It was an absolute shit show, wasn't it? That's why I was hesitant. Yeah, that's why I was hesitant. But then the game came out, it got good reviews, and that's when I decided to take the bait. And I'm glad I did because I do like it. It runs well on the Switch too, which is the important thing. It does. Yeah, it's only at 30 FPS when the other versions are at 60, but it still plays well enough. So yeah, I give it a thumbs up. They finally made a good Sonic game again. Look, never forget that you chose Sonic Superstars over Super Mario Bros. Wonder. That was the stupidest thing you did last year, Ben.
I like Superstars. I thought it was alright.
Yeah, but Wonder is better.
I still haven't played Wonder yet.
Oh wow. My god.
It was funny because I think my girlfriend was looking at some of the games I had on Switch, and she said, "Oh, can we play Wonder?" And I was Wonder, and I was like, "Oh, we don't have the game card in at the moment, so we just never played it." See, if it was digital, then we'll give it a go.
Oh,
yeah, no, I'm not going to do that again. Yeah, you know me, I'm advocating for that shit. Yeah, I mean, like, because speaking of digital, actually, there was a digital release this year that I know Gavin loved. I've really played it very briefly, but did you want to give us a rundown, Gavin?
All right, my time to shine. So yeah, well, this game first came out in 2023 on Steam, but it got released on the Switch back in February this year. It is an indie game. It's called Cavern of Dreams. It is a 3D platformer with an art style very similar to Banjo-Kazooie. It's even a bit of a collectathon. You play as Finn, a little baby dragon who has to go through the Cavern of Dreams to collect his unhatched sibling eggs. And the game is just utter charm from start to finish. This game is it's lovely. It is just lovely. That's the best way I can describe it.
It reminds me very much of the first Spyro game, actually.
Yeah.
That might be because
I was actually following
that game, but
I was actually following this game's development from 2022 because I just came across it by complete accident on Twitter. Like the developer was posting updates from time to time, and it just caught my attention because of the art style, with it being an N64-esque 3D platformer, with like these big open worlds that you explore, and of course the fact that the main character is a cute little dragon. You gain abilities as you progress through the game.
Well, it
like
certainly
you gain
does,
the ability to glide. You gain like a tail to attack with. You gain a horn to like do a bounce off of. Think of like the pogo stick from DuckTales. That's the
it
best
looks
way I
very
can describe it.
N64 as well, like the visual style.
Yeah, and according to By9, that's the developer of the game, he actually went through the trouble to research how N64 graphics worked. How
Oh wow!
yeah, to make it as authentic and as close to that generation as possible. Like he even got
Yeah.
the texture sizes, 64 by 64. He even did that to a T.
This is the
He put
thing
a lot
because
of attention to detail just
yeah,
to knock that art style out of the park.
you could look at that game and think like, oh, it's it's like PS1 era, and it's like, yeah, but this is most certainly not inspired by the way PS1 games looked.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
another thing as well is that just playing the game, controlling the main character, is already a lot of fun. And I think that's the hallmark of good game design is the main character just being fun to control. And I think a lot of indie devs are catching on to that.
that's the main thing about a 3D platformer that you want is good movement. This is what I was talking about with Shadow. Like the fact that he feels so good to control is such a big boom to the game.
Yeah, this game is also like very speedrun friendly as well because of the movement. You can go really fast with the roll ability as well. The game is very speedrun friendly. Like, and it was designed that way too, which major props to By9 for that. And I wish By9 the best of luck, and I hope this game was successful enough for him. A lot of people are like very, very. I would like a sequel, but he's very quiet on what he's doing next. He's just doing whatever, I guess. But I would like a sequel where we explore the overworld. Because the game starts with Finn falling into the Cavern of Dreams, and the game ends with him leaving the Cavern of Dreams with all his saved siblings. So it would be cool to explore his own home world, I think, in the sequel, if there ever is a sequel. It just feels like the most logical way to continue this concept, I feel.
Yeah, I mean it's just from my perspective, it was just a really cute little platformer, with like a lot of love put into it. So it's definitely one that I'd go back to.
I also really like the soundtrack. It's just very soothing and calming, especially the Third World's theme. I forgot the name of the world, but the Ice World level has like amazing music.
Yeah.
My only criticism of the game is that it is so unfortunately short. It is.
Yeah.
It's only 4 main worlds and a hub world. It's criminally short, but it's a damn good treat. It's a damn good treat though. It's a short game, but it is a blast to play from start to finish in such a short length.
It's just it made me want more. Developer.
It made me want more, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. But it wasn't your game of the year, though. Was it even close?
It's definitely my top 5, I feel. It's probably... Okay. I would probably put it third place behind Paper Mario and Echoes of Wisdom. Emio the Smiling Man would probably be 4th place.
Oh, yeah. That is strong praise, then. Yeah.
Oh, no, Mario and Luigi's Brothership would probably be 4th, and then Emio would be 5th.
Okay, interesting.
I do want to shout out one more game though before we wrap this up because I have to do something in like 10 minutes. But
sure.
I do. So this is not a Nintendo game. This is a PC game. It is a fan game, but I do want to shout it out because it came out this year and it has held my attention. It's Dr. Robotnik's Ring Racers.
Is this the No, wait, this isn't SRTB kart, is it?
It is a sequel to Sonic Robo Blast 2 Kart, but it's like a completely different game. It is a kart racing game, just like that one, but it's not a pick up and play game. This game is gonna be you either love it or you hate it. There is no in between.
Okay.
The game is unforgiving. It is stupid difficult. Its mechanics are hard. Oh, this game hates your guts. And yet at the same time, I keep playing it with other people. You can play it online, and it supports mods. It is an open source game. You can make your own characters, your own racetracks. It's like it's just open source. It was built on the Doom Legacy engine, so the door is wide open for mods of all kinds, characters, gameplay mechanics. Even if you know what you're doing with a Lua script language. I just think this game has the potential to last a long time. It hasn't seen an update in a long time, and people are anticipating the new update, which is going to be 2.4, because there's going to be all kinds of like features and fixes that people really want to see, and unfortunately, it's going to be a long time coming. But I think this game's going to hold my attention for a long time because of the community surrounding it. I've actually joined the community as a modder, and I am making my own mods. If you want to see my own mods, just search up my username on the SRB2 forums. My username is GavBSS. You can see a shameless plug, yeah, I know, but you can see my mods on the SRB2 forums if you want. I am actively going to be working on mods going into the new year, and yeah, I hope you look forward to see what I make, what I've currently made, what I'm going to be making in the future. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you do as well if you're into that kind of thing.
I do think it's like, yeah, it sounds like it's a kind of scratch that developer itch that you've had for a long time.
It's definitely scratching that creativity itch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Cool. Well, before we go, Tom, have you got any more games that you wanted to shout out that you've played this year?
The only thing that comes to mind is I downloaded the Sparkster collection, Rocking Knight collection.
Oh yes. I'm glad you reminded me of that. Oh, these games needed a really so bad. They are some of the best 2D. The original Rocky Knight Adventures is still one of the best 2D platformers ever made.
Definitely.
It is held up amazingly. I am impressed how well it's aged.
Game.
Well, you got the original game, then you got the two Sparkster games, which are kind of sequels, but you got the Mega Drive Sparkster and you got the Super Nintendo Sparkster. They play quite differently because they're made by different teams.
Oh. Are they? They're not better than the original though.
Not by a long shot, but they're still good in their own right.
Okay. I mean, I know there was a physical limited run release.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that I'd like to try out, especially because I know that like you've raved about it for years, Gavin. So
me and SBO rave about this game all the time. We both love it to bits.
Is this one a Dynamite Heady? But I think I technically do have Dynamite Heady in the Mega Drive Classics collection.
Oh,
yeah, Dynamite Heady is good too. Well, on the subject of limited run games, I don't like their business practice, but I'm glad for the work they do. They actually they
make good products.
They know about these games. Look. We can ignore the whole, the whole physical, how they handle physical releases, but I am very grateful to them for the work that they do to revive dead franchises. They bring back these long lost games that have never been re-released before.
Yeah.
Like they go above and beyond with their Carbon engine, and they hope they continue it for years to come, because there are so many games out there from decades ago, from the 80s, from the 90s, that have never been re-released, and in some cases these games are collector's items now, and they go for absurd amounts of money these days. And there's just, if you don't want to emulate, if you're not into emulation, that might be your only option, because are you really going to be spending £2,000 on a copy of Little Samson for the NES? You're not. You don't want to do that unless you're batshit insane. But here's the thing, that game has never been re-released.
It's only when the AAA developers use limited run for a physical distribution that I think is icky. Because it's like they don't need.
Sega did that with Sonic X Shadow, which is weird.
They don't need limited run for that. They could do that themselves, but they'll limited run are like, notice us. So then they'll give limited run the license for it. I didn't like it when Atlas did it with Persona as well. Like that's something they could easily just do themselves, but they decided not to. But when it's like an indie release or a physical release that wouldn't get made otherwise, absolutely, I'm more for a limited run in that regard. But yeah, I guess that's it then. I mean, I had there's a couple more games that I played this year. Like I played Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, which was very close to being my game of the year. I loved that game when it first came out in 2021, and the updated re-release has made it even more of a definitive RPG on Switch. And then I played Tomb Raider 1 as well. I didn't play it on Switch. I played it on the Xbox. I know that's a bit weird to say, but I played through it with my girlfriend and we had a fantastic time with it. It was really nostalgic for me. I haven't played Tomb Raider 1 really that much before, but it reminded me of that original Tomb Raider classic formula, and it was absolutely incredible. And I'm happy that 4 to 6 are getting remastered as well, because 4 is the one that I grew up with. So I'm really looking forward to that in a coming year. But
I'm at least hoping you're turning your girlfriend into a gamer girl.
I mean, she already kind of did play quite a few games beforehand, but I guess I'm just like expanding her horizons. So yeah, it's been fun. But I guess if that's all we've got to talk about this time, yeah, thanks for joining me, guys, and we'll speak to you on the next one.